Hi, welcome to Cam Look, your daily dose of the Cincinnati Art Museum. My name is Cheryl Daniels. I'm a docent at the Cincinnati Art Museum, and today we will be discussing Frank Duveneck's 1881 portrait of his then father-in-law-to-be, Francis Boott, or as I affectionately refer to it as the Papa Bear Boott portrait. Oil on canvas, measuring approximately 4 feet tall and 2.5 feet wide, this work is a dramatic display of the warm brown color palette that Duveneck had become well known for at the time. The dark background illuminates the stern facial expression, sophisticated attire, and staunch posture of his subject, Francis Boott. Boott was an amateur composer, Harvard graduate, and heir to the Boott textile mills industry. Unlike most portraits of the time, that highlight an array of props that provide insight into the sitter's personality or profession, Boott is pictured somewhat alone. All Duveneck gives us is the fur coat and glove, the beard, and that face. It is this intense gaze through the subject's hazel eyes, that look of fatherly disapproval, that is enough to make the viewer break a sweat. Are we looking at a man or a bear here? Francis Boott was 68 years old when he sat for Duveneck's portrait. He had moved to Italy with his year-old daughter, Lizzie, after the death of his wife and infant son from illness, and he never remarried. Boott's most absorbing interest was the education of his daughter, whose talent as an artist he fostered in every way possible. He was very protective of Lizzie, and while he greatly admired Duveneck's talent as an artist, he did not consider Duveneck worthy of his daughter's hand in marriage. When Lizzie requested that Duveneck paint her father's portrait, possibly as a means of buttering Papa Boott up, Duveneck accepted the challenge. The Francis Boott portrait is a testament to Duveneck's uncanny insight into the nature of his subject. John Singer Sargent called Duveneck the greatest genius of the American brush for this reason. Robert Henri said Duveneck is an extremely sensitive painter, a great draftsman, and every stroke of his brush manifests a consciousness of life and intense conception of nature. I enjoy this portrait by Frank Duveneck and find it extremely interesting in both style and theme. Stylistically, this piece shows a deliberate change in Duveneck's usual portrait work at this time. Unlike his own self-portrait in 1877 or his portrait of John White Alexander in 1879, Duveneck's style here is extremely detailed, almost photoesque. He has temporarily put aside his signature dashing, vivacious brushwork style for a more formal, carefully blended and edited portrait that would satisfy the lofty likeness that Mr. Boott imagined for himself. The compelling themes of a father's fear of losing his only child, compounded with the artist's feelings of having to prove himself worthy in the face of discrimination based on social class, are all at play in this artwork. Have you ever had to challenge yourself or step up your game in some way in order to prove your worth to someone? A teacher, a boss, a parent, or most notably a mother or father-in-law? What was the end result? Through the test of time and tragedy, Frank Duveneck's portrait of his father-in-law, Francis Boott, metamorphosizes and now serves as a tribute to the sometimes tough love associated with fatherhood. Ironically, some might suggest that Papa Bear Francis Boott couldn't ask for a more worthy son-in-law. Do you agree? Thank you for joining us for today's edition of Cam Look.